And welcome everyone to another edition of HoopsU. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by my partner, colleague from Big Ten Network, Rapheal Davis. And we are pleased to be joined by Brad Underwood from Illinois. Brad, we got a lot to unpack here. First off, I want to go back because your entire season could have been different if Coleman, Hawkins, and Terence, Shannon Jr. did not decide to come back to Illinois. So take me back to that sort of week when they were deciding, because they really went down to almost the 11th hour, how you're mentally dealing with what the season could look like, and then ultimately what it potentially can be.
Yeah, there's so much angst, Andy, in that process, and it's very unnerving, to be very honest. I mean, you don't sleep. You can't be annoying as a coach in terms of pestering them. What's your decision? What are you doing? And the challenging thing is, it does happen at a time when if you lose them, you're happy for them, but you also know that you probably can't go replace them. And it's the unfortunate thing of the timing of all of it. But I thought both of them had made very, very educated decisions. They gathered all their information. I left them alone, and until they called and told us what they were doing, there's no need to really plan, because you don't know one way or the other. You can kind of, get a few things in place, but you got an 18-point a game score and Terence, Shannon, and you're not going to replace that. And then you've got a guy in Coleman, Hawkins, who's a fourth-year guy now in our program, and you don't replace that, and the knowledge and the understanding that Coleman has. So two irreplaceable guys had they gone, but I think two guys that we're very happy they're back, and I think made great decisions for their futures.
In today's game, Coach, loyalty is kind of like a lost art in most ways. I mean, and you see Terence, Shannon, and even Coleman, Hawkins at times going into press conferences, they standing up for you. They're sticking up for the culture that you're trying to uphold. What's that meant to have those guys kind of be the best players on the team, but also be the voice in the locker room that you need to get wins?
Yeah, you don't win if you don't have great leadership, and you don't have guys. Our culture. Culture is something that becomes harder and harder to carry over. It was one of the real challenges we had last year. I mean, Terence was new. Coleman was coming off a sophomore campaign, which he was in and out of the starting lineup, and it wasn't a great year. And then we had a bunch of freshmen, and so it was a year where I led more, and that handcuffs our group. But those guys are extremely loyal. They understand it. They're very, very high character individuals. We have a saying, character over characters, and their character transcends through our locker room and our program and our community. All that they do in the community and with the university speaks volumes to how they were brought up and what they value. And so we're in a good spot having those two guys as leaders in our locker room.
We all know that follow you guys, and everyone within the Champaign-Urbana program knew the value of Ayo Dosunmu and Trent Frazier. But as we get further past that, we see how irreplaceable they have been. What's that search been like to find not necessarily the talent, but just at that position, someone that you can count on that is that, reliable in terms of a late game player, a leader? I mean, those guys were tremendous in their Illinois careers.
Yeah, and you forget that we were blessed. We had Ayo for 3 years. We had Trent Frazier for 5. And those days I hope aren't gone. We're still building our program on it, but it becomes a lot less likely. And it wasn't always easy with those guys. There were growing pains. Ayo had a hard freshman year. And he just continued to grow. But again, I go back to this. They're both really high character guys. They wanted to win more than anything else. They always put that at the forefront of what they did and how hard they worked. And in a world today where winning might become secondary, that's our biggest challenge in recruiting, is finding guys that want to win and not just grab NIL, or not just look at this as a stop heading to the NBA. So I think we try to recruit character very hard, and those guys are obviously very high character guys that prove that over the course of their careers.
Coach, when you have a new group of guys, a new locker room, like you said, Coleman's really stepping into the voice of the locker room. Terence is in that second year, which I believe for a transfer, sometimes that second year can be better than the first one, because now you know exactly what the coach wants from you. The guys know this is our guy now. But then how important was that international trip to Spain for you guys? Because you got guys coming in that you guys aren't bringing in guys that just want to sit on the bench. So what was that like on the court and off the court for the guys?
Yeah, those trips are invaluable, and we look at it. We didn't play great competition over there. We played everybody even minutes, pretty close. But just the camaraderie, just to hang out, to go jet skiing, to go to the beach, to go on all the tours together, to laugh, to to eat food that you don't get in the States, and find out who likes it and doesn't like it. It's just all those things are really little things that become monumental in terms of building your program and your culture. And to have that group and to do that, and we had so much fun. It was invaluable for us. So the basketball piece itself was one thing, but more the team bonding and the cultural stuff that we were able to establish, and the getting to know each other was well worth it.
I listened to
Go
something.
ahead.
My bad, Andy. I just listened to something, Coach. And did you not coach on the trip? Like, were you more on the sidelines?
No, I let my staff coach. All of our full-time guys, we had 3 games. They took a game, and I kind of sat on the end, and they could start whoever they wanted. They could play substitute whoever they wanted. Just kind of let them get their feet wet coaching, and find out what it's like to be a seat over and have to make decisions. And so it's a great opportunity for those guys to grow that way. And I took notes, and we met after every game, and talked about what we did in that game, and what was up in the next one. But I stayed very much in the background when it came to the coaching piece.
All right. So to that point, we've mentioned the highlight names. Help educate us on the rest of the squad. What are we going to expect from Illinois?
Yeah, we're older, Andy. I think that's one of the key things is last year, I think we were the second youngest team in Power 5. We set out to change that a little bit. Marcus Dumas, a grad transfer from Southern Illinois, a player of the year in the Missouri Valley, just shy of 1,700 career points. Quinty Gurrier, a guy that we've recruited many times, Syracuse, Oregon, now a grad transfer, pushing 1,500 points. All those things are, all those guys, Justin Harmon, Utah Valley, a grad transfer, was with Mark Madsen. All 3 of those guys have been extremely well coached. They know winning, and they're veterans. They've had success. They've had big moments in big games. So, we had those guys. We had a couple of freshmen that I'm really excited about. Amani Hansberry, player of the year in the state of Maryland, was terrific on our tour. Had a couple of doubles. Draven Gibbs Lawhorn is a guard out of West Lafayette that maybe as talented as any freshman we've had physically. Great athlete, terrific shooter. And again, he played very well over there. So you throw those guys in with the return of a Luke Goody, with Coleman, with Dane Deja. Nobody wants to talk about Dane. Dane was a 10-point a game scorer last year in what was truly his first season of play. So I like this group. I like our depth, but most importantly, I like our experience.
Another guy no one's talking about, Coach, is a guy I really like. I mean, really 2 guys I really like. I mean, one, Ty Rodgers. I mean, how has he been playing the point? I really like you hear in the offseason how guys are saying Illinois doesn't have a point guard, but I really can see the vision of you putting Ty Rodgers at the point. And I think he can go and be a defensive player of the year type candidate.
Well, I'm my big mess up last year was not playing him at the point full time. And you know, I sit here and just rattled off a bunch of guys, and Ty's our most improved player and is arguably one of our best players. And you know, he's 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan. He's 220 pounds. He's got great speed. He's athleticism. And I'm really excited about him. We can be positionally very big with he and Terence Shannon in the backcourt at 6'6". But I moved Ty around too much last year, and he's unique because one of the best things he does is rebounds. And you know, I go back to our last game against Arkansas in the tournament. That court was filled with pros, and Ty was one of the best players on that court in that game. And so I'm really excited about what he's bringing. He had a great trip to Spain, and again, his versatility is not lost on me. I love his versatility.
Well, you have to defend if they play for you. So outside of these names we've rattled off, is there anyone else that we can say, you know what, that's going to be a key defender for you? Certainly maybe that second unit coming off the bench.
Yeah, I think that's one of the emphasis. You know, we slid last year, Andy. I think we were 35th in defensive efficiency rating, and that's as low as we've been in the last 4 years. And we made too many mistakes. Sincere Harris, you know, Sincere comes back, and Sincere is a guy that truly,
he was big late in the season defensively.
Yeah, and he won us games because of his on-ball defense and his pressure. And you know, he's back, he's stronger. Again, he's got a better understanding. I think he's got a chance to be really one of the best on-ball defenders, not just in our conference, but in the country. And you know, so I look at him as a guy who can lead the way in some areas. Ty Rodgers, and then just the chemistry. We made too many mistakes last year. We went from being a team that never made defensive mistakes to a team that had one or two in almost every possession, and scouting mistakes. And I hope our experience helps eliminate a lot of that, because we do have to be better on that end.
Yeah, because now, I mean, if I'm Terence Shannon, I've been here a year, I feel comfortable with, I mean, lack of better words, I feel comfortable cussing these guys out now. Now I'm not looking around, and I'm not saying my voice is going to make these guys feel away. Now I can get on Coleman, I can get on Dane. So I get what you're saying there. And then I think that bleeds into your offense, because sometimes you will see guys that take some plays off and then they go take a bad shot. And you watch your guys' games overseas, and I get what you're saying about the competition level, but stylistically, you guys shot less threes. Was that by design? Because last year you didn't like what you saw, or is that kind of just how you guys are doing it now?
No, we shot 42% of our shots last year were threes. That's about 10 percentage points higher than I want it to be. And we were 31% in Spain. And we have to find a much better mix. And we took a lot of hard threes last year. But this is a team that can really drive the basketball. We've got to be very efficient in terms of that balance of from the 3-point line. We played most of the year without our best 3-point shooter in Luke Goody. You know, Marcus Dumas is a career 40% 3-point shooter. We'll shoot it better, but by doing that, we're going to, I hope to shoot a lot less.
Brad, how do you, and I know every group is different, but I know, because we heard it from you, you're very honest. One of the biggest frustrations for you were the swings. Like, Illinois' good is really good. And then last year, when you guys weren't playing well, it was bad. And like, you know, that swing to just close that gap. You're not going to win every game. Like, how do you close that gap so that the bad is not the bottom dropping out?
Yeah, I hope we've done that a little bit with the age and the experience. We were so inexperienced. We had so many freshmen. And they all played. They all had really good years, but we were also a very inconsistent team. Two of our better players, Terence Shannon and Matthew Meyer, were both new guys, transfers. Again, we lose Luke Goody, who's a veteran. We had Dane Deja, who was a new guy. So our inexperience and our connectivity together allowed that. Did we have guys who could go make plays, and could we win some games? Yes, beating UCLA, beating Texas. But we also had games where we were just not good. And I think one of the things I've challenged our group with this year is we have to practice better. And we have a saying, everyday guys. Well, we weren't everyday guys last year. It was a struggle. So we played games like we practiced, kind of good, some bad. And we're working very hard to be much more consistent in practice so we can be much better in games.
And a lot of that falls on your best players sometimes. I mean, because you will see it with us when I played at Purdue. If AJ Hammonds came in the gym and if AJ wasn't hooked up, our practice was gonna dip. But when AJ came and when AJ was hooked up, when I was hooked up, when Biggie was hooked up, we were gonna have a good one. So a lot of that is like, because you see Terence Shannon isn't coming back because he wants to be back in college. He didn't hear what he wanted to hear. He has to improve some things. So you can see his hooked upness being there. Coleman Hawkins, I think Coleman would take a big step in the sense of just being more simple because you guys have more playmakers. And it's in the same realm of playmakers. Do you see a guy like Marcus, like 1,700 points? Do you see him playing with the second unit more, or are you going to play him with Terence a lot more on the same court? Because you saw that last year a little bit. It felt like Cam Winter, he had scored a lot of points before he came into Penn State, and he kind of took the back seat and didn't really play his role a little bit.
Yeah, I think Marcus's role, he's one we didn't have in Spain. He didn't play due to he was fighting a hamstring injury. A lot of that'll be to be determined. He is an elite playmaker.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a really good passer. He scores it in the post. He shoots it from three. He's in pick and rolls a lot. I think that in all of the practices, he has led us in assist. So he's a guy that he makes the right plays. He's a coach's kid, and that IQ, the game is really slow for Marcus. He never gets sped up. So, I'm excited about him. No matter where he's going to play, he's going to play, and he's going to be a factor in what we do. And he elevates everybody. So I think we're still going to try to figure out what all the pieces look like and what fits the best, and what's our best offensive lineup, what's our best defensive lineup, will be determined. But we have to become more consistent, and we have to become a better defensive team. And our shot selection has to be more balanced. And there's some things I didn't like last year. We found a way, even though we were as young as we were, to get in the NCAA tournament, and we were playing for a chance at a league championship late, but we didn't earn the right to do that. We were too inconsistent. We didn't earn the right. We didn't work hard enough. We weren't consistent enough. And that's what I'm challenging this team with.
All right. One lesson for me on the October 29th game. So thrilled that you guys are doing this for the Maui Relief Fund after the wildfires there. Illinois has obviously been there multiple times. Various coaches have gone there, but you bring in Kansas, probably going to be the number one team in the country. Bill Self had a great run at Illinois, recruited a lot of those guys that Bruce Weber ended up taking to that 05 championship game. How did that come about? And what do you think that atmosphere is going to be like with Bill Self bringing KU, exhibition or not, back to Champaign for the first time?
Yeah. And I think we were going to scrimmage. We had the closed door, non-announced, public scrimmage that we did it last year with them. And we were going to do it again, meet in St. Louis. And we just got talking, and we were looking for the date, and he goes, Bill said it. He goes, we're in Maui. He goes, what do you think about playing an exhibition? And I said, Bill, that's tremendous. I said, that's, to me, people at Bill and I's age, we understand the longevity and the support that Maui has meant to college basketball. And I always go back to the Ralph Sampson Chaminade upset, and it's been around so long. It's been so impactful. It's the premier preseason tournament, and we're at two universities who've been over there a bunch, and our fans have gotten to enjoy it. And he and I have both been over there a bunch. So it was just the right thing to do. And then I said, Bill, come home, come back. You walk the sidelines in this court. And I brought Bill back a year ago for a coaches versus cancer event, and he and Lon, and I said, just come bring your team back. It's going to be good for both of us and team wise. And they're good. And we think we got a chance to be good. And, and to fill the house and pack the stands and raise a lot of money for Maui Relief has just made sense. And hopefully we get to have a lot of fun with it. Bill gets reacquainted with a lot of friends that he had here, and he gets to walk on that sideline again. So I think it's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And Coach, last thing I got, Coach, you always impress me with your shoe game. What's your shoe game inspired by? Where do you get these kicks from? Are you the one picking them out most times, or what?
You know what? I've got to give most of the credit. I enjoy wearing them now because they garner a lot of attention.
Yeah.
I give a lot of them away or auction them.
Oh, that's cool.
But what I do is I either get white dunks or whatever actually. But our video coordinator, Courtney Bay, I've got to give her a lot of credit. She comes up with the designs for them. And it could be senior day and we put our seniors' names on them, or it could be, a game we play in Chicago, or it could be Veterans Day, whatever it is. And she comes up with the design, and then we've got a guy who paints them for us. And so I get 12 to 13 pair a year, Air Force Ones or dunks. And
that's cool. That's cool.
They set out and do that. And then, I got a few faves I like to keep. So, but they do. I can't lie. They garner a lot of attention.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like that.
Brad, we will see you soon with your kicks on in Minnesota for Media Day. Appreciate it.
Looking forward to it, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brad.
You got it.
All right. With the time we have left, give me your quick thoughts on the Illini and where you see them. We pretty much have done half the league. So where do you see them?
I think they should compete to have a double bye in the league. I think they should finish top four. I mean, they should compete to finish top four. I think they finished top five somewhere in that mix. I look at guys like Terence Shannon. He's not coming back to Illinois because he wants to be around Coach Underwood a little bit longer. He has some things he has to prove to the next level. Coleman, Hawkins, the same. And then I like what they brought in. Instead of going out and get younger, talented guys, they went and got older guys that were proven, that want to win. And sometimes you get transfers in like and nothing against him, good kid, Matt Meyer. He come in, he's already won before. He's just there to hoop. So sometimes you got to go out and get those guys that really want to win, that are really going to be invested in. And I think they've done that. I think they'll be faster. They'll take better shots. They'll be more disciplined on defense. I think this to be the team that they should have been last year.
I think it's imperative for Brad's mental health and everyone else that they don't have drama. I feel like exactly. The last couple of years, with Curbelo and then last year, there was a lot of press conference, venting.
Yep.
A lot of drama. We sat on that desk and talked about them, the good and the bad. And I think they need to have a year where, like I said, they're going to be in on every game. They're not going to win everything, but just go through it without chaos. I feel like there's a lot of chaos around the last couple of years. Not like off the court stuff, just within that team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because sometimes your locker room, the character of your locker room and the guys in the locker room, that's more important than the talent on the floor. I go back to my sophomore year in college for last place in the Big Ten. On paper, We have older guys, we have transfers, we have Tyrone Johnson, who came in that year, one of the best guards in the Big Ten, AJ, and then you go forward to that next year, we only have 3 returning starters and 5 freshmen. And I mean, 2 returning starters, and we have 5 freshmen, and we get a double bye. I think we're tied for 3rd in the league. And it's just because our locker room was better. And you see a couple years ago, I mean, Corbello, I mean, you could see him when the games where he'd be subbed out, out on the bench. If you've hooped, you've been around guys that way that just bring the energy down. Coach would always say, be an energy giver, not an energy taker. And you see last season, they sit one of the freshmen at Northwestern, I believe it was. The next day, he quit the team. So it's like, when those things go on, that bleeds into the locker room. You had guys drinking. Matt Meyer was drinking 6 Monsters. Yes. And if I'm a freshman on that team, if I'm Epps or if I'm one of those guys, if he's sitting out of practice because he's hungover from playing video games, I'm not going hard today either. That's just the way some guys are wired, because you're not going to yell at me and this guy is just chilling. And that's sometimes you go through that. And I think that's what they've been through the last couple of years, and going out and getting guys like Quincy and Domask and guys that really are just invested in winning and making the program better. That's going to help. That's going to help the locker room. And they're older, so they're not worried about going out and partying. They're not transferring to hang out. They're not just getting a check. They're trying to prove themselves for life. And that's going to change a lot.
Yeah, the 2 guys he talked about that I'll be really intrigued by are Danger, because we've seen him play really well and be a presence. Can he be consistent? Can he stay on the floor long term? And then at the end, Harris, he can be, I mean, you should appreciate this. He's a defensive stopper, gets right in your grill. And if he leads that second unit, which it sounds like he might, if he's going with Rogers and Shannon, then you get that energy. Maybe he's a finisher, comes in like the under 12 or under 16, and then he's playing the last 8 minutes as well, or 6 minutes, something like that. That gives you that energy, mid to late first, mid to late second, because he really can raise that. He got the crowd going. I remember at home. So I think those are going to be critical things for them if they take it. The other thing is they've always played a really good non-conference schedule, but they haven't played it well. You know what I mean? Like they've had great games. And then sometimes, remember the Arizona game a couple of years ago, they get like run, and like then they just sort of they put themselves in a hole, and they climb out of it and they make the tournament, but it becomes the stress. They got to play better and more consistent in November and December.
And I think that helps with having the older guys that's been through it. I mean, having even the younger guys like a Dane Danger, he's grown a year. Luke Goody is healthy now. Sensei Harris, he's grown a year. Because I look at their first lineup. I mean, like Coach said, I think their lineup's going to be huge. I mean, Ty Rodgers, Shannon. I think Luke Goody will probably start. I think Domask will start by the end. But I think even if you have Luke out there, then Coleman and Dane, I mean, that's one of the biggest 5s, not just in the league, but in the country. And then as a second unit, whether Terence Shannon stays out there as the second unit or Marcus Domask leads the second unit, they have a guy that consistently has put the ball in the basket. You look at before the season last year, I mean, I remember Coach Weber and we were talking, and Coach Weber had coached against some of those guys. And he said some games Matt Meyer may give you 20, but then some games he's going to give you 4. And that was exactly what happened last year. Now you have a guy that has proven to put the ball in the basket. The Quincy guy, he can stretch the floor. He can make shots from deep. So I think they're deeper. I think they're more talented, but I think they're just going to be more disciplined. I think that part is really going to matter, because you look at how Coach wants to play. Coach wants to defend heavy, and he wants to get out in transition. And I think with Ty Rodgers, 6'6" point guard, it's going to remind me a lot of just Kelsey Barlow jamming the ball, being a bigger, longer guard. And then that's going to give them the ability to play Coleman at the 5-some. Because if Coleman can play the 5-some defensively, if those wings are active, not allowing easy post feeds and whatnot, then it's really going to be hard to guard those guys. Because when Coleman takes good shots and when Coleman is simple, he'll be one of the better big men in the league, because he can stretch the floor. He can take big men off the drive. So I think this year's team will look a lot different. I think they have less height, which is going to help them. And they have guys that they're not riding a high horse anymore. Now they got to prove it. And I think that type of stuff matters.
All right, a real intriguing team this season. Huge fan base. I will tell you,
Yep.
anytime we talk about Illinois, write about Illinois, the fans online are very active. So enjoy this episode. We're going to be talking a lot of Illini this season. Rapheal, as always, appreciate it. HoopsU. We're going to keep this going on a weekly basis. Appreciate you.
All right, have a good one.